OMG. An unknown wrestler strikes mystery attacker backstage brutally on SmackDown. WWE just tried to bury this. They tried to edit it. They tried to move past it like it never happened. But the footage got out. The witnesses were there. And right now, as you are watching this video, the wrestling world is demanding answers that WWE has not given, and their silence is making everything 10 times worse. Something happened backstage at SmackDown that was not supposed to be on camera. An unknown wrestler, someone that a massive portion of the WWE universe cannot immediately name, cornered the mystery attacker that has been terrorizing this roster for weeks and unleashed something so brutal, so personal, so filled with rage that people who were standing in that corridor backstage reportedly could not believe what they were witnessing with their own eyes. This was not a scripted segment. This was not a planned angle. The look on the faces of the producers scrambling to shut it down tells you everything you need to know. And yet WWE wants you to act like it did not happen. I am not going to let that happen. Wrestling News CC is going to break down every single detail, every piece of information we have gathered, every theory that holds actual water, and by the end of this video you are going to understand not just what happened, but why it happened, who is truly behind it, and what it means for the SmackDown roster going into the most important stretch of the WWE calendar year. If you have been following the mystery attacker story and you think you already know where this is going, I promise you, you do not. Because the name being whispered in backstage circles right now is the unknown wrestler who struck back is a name that will make your jaw hit the floor. For weeks now, SmackDown has been operating under a shadow. Superstars have been found injured in corridors, locker rooms, parking structures. Production staff have reportedly been instructed not to discuss what they are seeing between segments. And the attacks themselves share a signature: methodical, targeted, always from behind, always leaving the victim unable to compete. This is not someone acting out of random rage. This is someone with a list. Someone with a plan. The pattern of victims is what tells the real story. Look at who has been attacked. These are not low-card talents being picked off randomly. These are individuals connected by a thread, a history, a relationship, a shared event that the attacker clearly views as unfinished business. And every single time WWE cameras have tried to capture anything useful, the footage has either been too dark, too obstructed, or suspiciously unavailable. That is not bad luck. That is inside knowledge. This mystery attacker knows where the cameras are. This mystery attacker knows the schedule, the production layout, the blind spots in the arena. That level of knowledge does not come from someone who is new to this environment. That knowledge comes from someone who has been inside the system possibly for a very long time. The speculation has been relentless and the fans have been right to be furious about the lack of answers. Comment sections, fan forums, social media threads, the WWE universe has been screaming for resolution, and every week SmackDown delivers more questions without a single satisfying answer. That ends today. Because what happened backstage this week cracked the entire story wide open. Here is where this gets genuinely explosive. The wrestler who struck the mystery attacker backstage is not someone currently featured in a prominent on-screen role on SmackDown. And that is precisely what makes this so significant. Think about that for a moment. With an entire roster of established names, people with microphone time, people with title programs, people who are seen and heard every single week, it was not any of them who stepped up. It was someone operating in the shadows of the roster. Someone who has been on the card, in the building, watching and waiting. And the waiting is over. Witnesses who were in that backstage corridor have described the scene in terms that make it clear this was not a reactive moment. This unknown wrestler did not stumble upon the mystery attacker by accident. They were positioned. They were ready. They had been tracking this attacker's movements with the same level of patience and calculation that the attacker had been using against their victims. They outhunted the hunter. And when the moment came, they did not hesitate for a single second. The attack itself, and I want to be very careful with how I describe this because the details are genuinely disturbing in terms of the intensity, was described as one of the most vicious backstage confrontations anyone present had witnessed in years. This was not a push and a few punches. This was sustained. This was focused. This was someone who had been carrying something heavy for a long time and finally found the outlet they had been looking for. Production went into immediate lockdown mode. Cameras were waved off. Certain personnel were asked to leave the area. The speed with which WWE tried to contain the situation only confirms how far outside of their scripted plans this went. The mystery attacker, for perhaps the first time in this entire saga, was on the receiving end. And reportedly they were in no condition to respond. This is the part of the story that the mainstream wrestling coverage is completely sleeping on. And it is the most important part. The unknown wrestler and the mystery attacker are not strangers. This is not a case of a roster member taking a stand against a predator out of principle alone, although that element is real and it matters. The confrontation that happened backstage on SmackDown this week has roots that go back further than this current angle. There is a personal history between these two individuals that predates the mystery attacker's current campaign of violence on the SmackDown roster. When you understand that history, when you trace the timeline of where these two people's paths have crossed, where they have competed, where they have been in proximity to each other inside and potentially outside of WWE, the backstage strike stops looking like a random act of vigilante justice and starts looking like the culmination of something that has been building for a very long time. This is personal. This is deeply, specifically, painfully personal. And that changes the entire DNA of the storyline going forward, because it means the unknown wrestler is not simply a good Samaritan stepping in to protect their fellow roster members. They are a participant in something larger. They have skin in this game in a way that nobody currently understands, and when the full truth comes out, it is going to reframe every single thing that has happened over the past several weeks. Every attack, every victim, every piece of footage that was too convenient in its obscurity. All of it is going to look different once this connection is fully revealed. The SmackDown landscape just shifted in a way that nobody had mapped out on their WrestleMania prediction boards. Because now you have 3 layers of conflict operating simultaneously, and each one of them has enough heat to carry a major program. Layer 1: the mystery attacker still has targets. The mission is not complete. Whatever grievance or agenda is driving these attacks has not been fully resolved, and a single backstage confrontation with an unexpected opponent is not going to derail someone this calculated and this committed. Layer 2: the unknown wrestler has now revealed themselves as a factor. You cannot do what they did in that corridor and then disappear back into anonymity. The roster knows. Production knows. The mystery attacker certainly knows. There will be a response. And when it comes, it will be on camera, it will be on SmackDown, and it will be impossible to look away from. Layer 3: and this is the layer that has the most WrestleMania season implications. The established stars on the SmackDown roster now have to decide what side they are on and how deeply they are willing to get involved. Because the unknown wrestler stepping up changes the social contract backstage. It exposes the fact that others with more platform, more television time, more power within the company structure, chose to wait while this mystery attacker operated freely. That is a conversation that will happen openly on screen whether WWE plans for it or not. The writers have been handed a gift. An unexpected, unplanned, legitimate gift born from something that went off script and created more genuine intrigue than anything they had written into the show in the past month. The question is whether WWE recognizes what they have and builds on it properly, or does what they sometimes do and pivots away from the real heat in favor of the safe, predictable booking that has frustrated fans for years. The internet is currently overflowing with theories about the true identity of both the mystery attacker and the unknown wrestler who struck back. And most of those theories are wrong. Not because the people developing them are not smart. The wrestling fan base is sharper than it has ever been, but because they are working with incomplete information. They do not have what Wrestling News CC has been pulling together from multiple sources close to this situation. The theory that makes the most structural sense, the one that aligns with the victim pattern, the one that explains the insider knowledge, the one that gives the unknown wrestler a motive deep enough to justify the risk of what they did backstage, involves a relationship between two people who were never supposed to be on the same roster again. A falling out that happened away from cameras. A promise that was broken. And someone who has spent a long time waiting for the right moment to make it right or make it painful. If this theory holds, and every piece of information coming in suggests that it does, then the reveal of the mystery attacker's true identity is going to be one of the most talked about moments in SmackDown's 2026 run. It has the potential to be genuinely shocking in the way that wrestling surprises very rarely are anymore in the age of dirt sheets and spoilers and instant reporting. This one, somehow, has stayed protected. And that protection is almost out of time. Here is what I need to say directly to WWE, because I know people inside that organization watch channels like this one. Do not waste this. Do not take what organically happened backstage at SmackDown this week and sand down its edges until it becomes something safe and forgettable. The wrestling universe is hungry for something that feels real, something that feels urgent, something that feels like the stakes are genuine and the emotions behind it are not manufactured. What happened in that corridor? That felt real. That felt urgent. That felt like something that matters. The unknown wrestler stepping out of the shadows and striking the mystery attacker is a moment with WrestleMania main event energy if it is handled correctly. The history between them, once revealed, has the power to make the entire audience reassess everything they thought they knew about the story. That is rare. That is genuinely rare in modern professional wrestling. Do not waste it. And for everyone watching Wrestling News CC right now, I need you to do 3 things. First, drop your theory in the comments. Who do you think the mystery attacker is? Who do you think the unknown wrestler is? This community has been right before when the so-called experts were wrong, and I want to see what you have got. Second, share this video. Right now. Send it to every wrestling fan you know, because this story is moving fast and people need to be caught up. Third, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the moment the identity drops, Wrestling News CC is going to be first. This is the biggest mystery running in WWE right now. And we are not looking away for a single second.